Antarctica is a giant with a surface area of 5.4 million square miles. That is an area more than 1.5 times larger than the entire United States. Despite this massive space, there is no permanent human population here. You will not find any cities or nations. Between 1,000 and 5,000 people stay here temporarily, mostly scientists locked in isolated research bases. Who does this land belong to? Officially, to no one. The Antarctic Treaty of 1959 prohibits all territorial claims. It is the only place on Earth dedicated exclusively to peace and science, where the military is not allowed. But beneath this diplomatic silence and a layer of ice 4 miles thick lies something absolutely incredible. Welcome to MindSeedWorld, the place where curiosity turns into knowledge. To understand what is underneath, we must first grasp the power of the ice, which weighs quadrillions of tons. This weight is so immense that it literally crushes the Earth's crust downward, changing the very shape of our planet. If all this ice melted in a single second, global sea levels would rise by 200 feet. This means that most coastal cities we know would simply cease to exist under the water. However, the most interesting things happen at the very bottom, where the ice meets the bare ground after millions of years. For decades, we thought it was just dead rock, but modern technology has shown us something completely different. Thanks to ice-penetrating radars, we have begun to draw a map of a continent that no one has ever seen. These discoveries shocked geologists and changed our geography textbooks forever. Fasten your seatbelts because we are going 2.5 miles under the ice to discover this forbidden world. The first stop is a mountain range that simply should not exist in such a place. In 1958, Soviet researchers made an impossible discovery. Under miles of ice, they stumbled upon a massive mountain chain called the Gamburtsev Mountains. They are 9,000 feet high and stretch for over 750 miles. This is incredible because these mountains are sharp and tall, which suggests they are very young. Usually, mountains in the middle of continents are old and rounded, like the American Appalachians, but the Gamburtsevs look like the Rocky Mountains, even though they have been covered by ice for 34 million years. How could they form in the middle of a stable continental plate? It is a mystery that science still has not solved. One theory says the continent cracked millions of years ago, pushing rocks upward before the Great Freezing began. Another theory suggests the ice acted like a preservative, protecting the mountains from the destructive force of rain and wind. Imagine climbing such a peak. It would only be possible in a pressure suit, miles below the surface. But the mountains are just the beginning. Between these peaks flow rivers whose water never freezes. How is this possible in temperatures of minus 60 degrees on the surface? The answer lies deeper. Geothermal heat from the Earth's core warms the rocks, creating a layer of water that acts like a lubricant for the glacier. Because of this, giant rivers of ice can slide toward the ocean at a speed of several feet per day. Now, we leave the mountains and head to where water forms massive underground oceans. Over 400 lakes have been discovered under the Antarctic ice. The largest of them is the legendary Lake Vostok. It is so huge that it could hold the entire volume of Lake Ontario. Vostok lies under ice nearly 2.5 miles thick. It has been cut off from the world for 15 million years. In 2012, after 20 years of drilling, a Russian team finally reached the surface of the water. What they found in the samples shocked biologists around the world. They discovered fragments of DNA from bacteria that do not match any species known on the surface of the Earth. These organisms evolved in total darkness and under extreme pressure for millions of years. For scientists, Lake Vostok is the perfect testing ground for missions to the icy moons of Jupiter or Saturn. If life can survive under the ice of Antarctica, it might also exist in oceans beyond our planet. But Vostok hides other secrets. At its bottom, a strange and very strong magnetic anomaly was detected. Some claim it is a deposit of metals. Others spin theories about structures. But the truth is still waiting to be explored. The water pressure in the lake is so high that there's 50 times more oxygen there than in normal water. This makes the environment extremely toxic to most. Organisms, we know. And yet, life endures there. It is proof of how incredibly resilient and adaptable nature is. We now leave the calm lakes to go to a place where liquid fire flows under the ice. Antarctica is associated with cold, but under its western part lies the largest volcanic region in the world. Scientists have discovered 138 volcanoes hidden deep under the ice. The largest of them is nearly 13,000 feet high, making it a giant on a global scale. Some of these volcanoes are still active. They emit heat that creates massive caves in the ice. In these caves, the temperature is above freezing, even though it is -70 outside. If these volcanoes started erupting simultaneously, the consequences for the whole world would be catastrophic. Hot lava would melt billions of tons of ice from below, creating massive rivers of water flowing straight into the ocean. This would act like oil poured onto a fire. Glaciers would start sliding into the water at incredible speeds. This is not a science fiction movie script. This is a real threat that scientists monitor every single day. The most famous active volcano is Mount Erebus, which has a permanent lava lake in its crater. Erebus ejects tiny particles of real gold into the atmosphere, worth hundreds of dollars every day. However, what is happening under the ice in other parts of the continent is much more disturbing. Volcanic heat is accelerating the melting of the Thwaites Glacier, known as the Doomsday Glacier. If Thwaites collapses, sea levels will rise by 2 feet in just a few decades. But there are not only threats under the ice, there are also priceless treasures from our planet's past. It is hard to believe, but 100 million years ago, Antarctica was a green paradise full of life. The average temperature there was around 54 degrees Fahrenheit. There was no ice. Under the ice, scientists find fossils of dinosaurs, such as Antarctopelta, an armored herbivore. Remains of giant trees that once formed dense rainforests have also been found. Today's ice is a time capsule that stores information about how the Earth's climate has changed over eons. By analyzing air bubbles from 1 million years ago, we know exactly what the atmosphere was like in the past. Antarctica teaches us that our planet is dynamic and nothing is permanent. What is a frozen desert today was once teeming with life, and in the future, it may become so again. Every expedition under the ice brings new answers, but also generates hundreds of new questions. What else will we find there? Unknown viruses? Or perhaps traces of ancient civilizations that legends speak of? Science sticks to the facts, and the facts are, under the ice of Antarctica lies the last unexplored frontier on Earth. Are you intrigued by today's episode? Leave a question in the comments. I read every one of them. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss more amazing facts from MindSeedWorld. Every reaction from you helps us create better and deeper content for enthusiasts like you. Thank you for watching MindSeedWorld. See you in the next journey into the unknown.